So why do we want instance block, or what's the use of instance block? The instance block, see, there is only one thing that will do the business logic, that would be the methods. There are only one variables, one thing that will hold the values, that will be the variables, right? Everything else is there to initialize the variables, that's it. Cool. Constructor to initialize the variable or to call the method. And the about the instance block and static block we will see. All right, so let's start. And then instance block is also used to initialize the instance variable only, but the difference is it initializes the value in a hard coded way, and we will see what does it mean, right, in a while. Cool. So the first thing is, let's write a class A, and we have a variable public void, oh my god, public int age, right? this is a variable that I have. All right, so and public void m1, let's print the value over here, right? Value of a age, my bad, value age. Cool. So right now if I create a runner, and inside the runner if I create object of a, what will be the output of this program?
Value of age 0.
Yes, default value will be printed, right?
Yeah.
All right, so value of age is 0, right? Great. So what else do I want? I want to hard code the value, right? One thing, dynamically if I want to update the value, what I can do, I can provide int a. Okay, my bad, I need to create a constructor, right? I need to create a constructor, right? And inside this I need to pass the value, right? Like for example 5. Over here I need to pass the value, I can pass the value 10. All right, 10, and I can make it p, right? If I run it now, then 1 the 5 will be printed and then 10 will be printed, right? Because dynamically I have changed the value of age, right? But I don't want to do it, I want to change it and I want to initialize it in hard coded way, right? So how we write instance block, right? This is instance variable, this is instance variable, and this is instance method. And how we write instance block, just simply open the curly braces. Cool. And over here I can say that the age and doing this 20. Cool. Okay, this is constructor, not a method, right? So public void m1 and sys out value of age plus age. Cool. Now if I run this, the value, I don't have to pass the value age, right? Then if I run this, the output of age is 20, right? All right, so the first thing we need to know about the instance block, this is instance block, right? Instance block. Instance block is written inside the class but outside the method or constructor, right? So this is inside the class, right, but outside the constructor or the method. Cool. And there is no name for the instance block, there is no name we need to provide, just the open curly braces. So it's way too obvious because it has no name, right? We cannot call it. So it's way too obvious that if I am going to create an object, then only it will be executed. Cool. Understood?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
All right.
yes,
Because
yes.
there is no way, right? There is no way to call it. How you will call it? Because in constructor also there was a name, right? Exactly same as the class name. In methods we have a name and we can define name anything that we want, right? Just following some different patterns. But for instance block there is no name, so we cannot call it. Whenever we are creating an object, then it will be called on its own. Cool. So this is one thing, and let's the print out. Okay. Okay, let me stop the record, start the recording again. Cool. We are doing the instance blocks. We will going to cover the blocks today. We will complete the class elements. cool. So now this is the thing that we need to know about the instance block. Let's okay, let me alright run the okay instance block. So inside the class it is possible. Okay, these are interview questions. Cool. See now what I'm going instance block. Everyone clear with the instance block? We can write the instance block and we need to write it inside the class, outside the method or constructors. Instance block will have no name. We will create it by directly opening the curly braces, and we can write down the statements inside the instance blocks, right? So now the interview questions that comes is flow. Okay, my bad. Flow order 1, then multiple blocks. Oh my bad. Cool. The first thing will be the sequence, and this is the most commonly asked. I mean, otherwise no one asks. I mean, no one asks this question regarding the instance block, right? It's very rare someone will ask you. But the thing is flow, and we need to know it. Instead, if no one is going to ask, then also we need to know. The one thing is, we have done the variables, right? Private int age. We have done the variable part, right? Earlier. Then we had done the methods, right? Sysout a m1 method, right? After that, what we have done? We have done the constructors, right? So just write this thing a constructor, right? And now what we have done? The instance block, right? So the variable, the constructor, the method, right? And now the instance block, a instance block. Okay, so now if in the runner, if I'll try to create an object, what will be the output? Okay, is my constructor having this thing? Okay, let me remove it, right? All right, so I'm doing nothing, right? Okay, I have to call the method, right? What will be the output? I'm creating an object A and I'm calling the method M1. What will be the output? This is the class that we have. What will be the output?
First, would it be a constructor and then a m1?
Okay, everyone agrees?
Yes.
All right, then where is this instance block? We are doing the instance block concept, right? So see, cool, if I try to run it, first the instance block will be executed. Okay, my bad. First the instance block will be executed, then the constructor will be executed, then the method, and the method will use the variable. Cool. See, why do we use instance block? We use instance block to initialize the instance variable, but in a hard-coded way. We use constructor to initialize the instance variable too, but in dynamic way, right? So if I want to hard code the value, so this is an interview question as well. If I'm doing this thing, age equals to 10, and over here also int age equals to 10, then we need to know the flow, right? Okay, let me just write the questions. Okay, so now you know the flow, then you will be able to answer this question, right? So okay, but it's not the multiple blocks, it's the flow order. And now the new question would be of
Abhishek, you can initialize while declaring only, right? Like private age is equal to
Yes,
20.
yes, yes. Also, you can do that also. Completely fine. All
And
right.
what is the
So,
difference? Why instance block and this one?
why instance block is used?
Yeah.
See, if you want to process something, right? Let for example, if
Ah,
you want
okay,
to,
got it.
if,
Yeah, got it, got it. Yeah.
okay, all right, cool. So, multiple blocks. Okay, initializing. Yeah, multiple initializing, right? It says multiple initializing. Multiple. Cool. So over here, I will take the same example of flow order, right? I'm going to just copy paste this multiple initializing. Yes, give me both classes. And then in the A, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the value of age equals to 20. Cool. Or let's say 10. Great. And in my constructor, this is my constructor, right? I will ask for the value of 30. Oh my bad, int a, age, and I will pass the value of later on, and this dot age equals to age, right? We have already covered why this is used over here, right? So now if I try to run the runner and I'm passing 30 over here, right, what will be the output? Okay, one thing I have to update m1 a dot m1 with value of age, right, plus age. Cool. So what will be the output of this? See, no need to get confused, just check these things, right? What will be the value when this age will be printed? Value will be 10 because I have initialized over here, or value will be this what I have passed after on the constructor. Just tell me what will be the age value.
30.
Okay, my bad, wait. Am I audible? Hello.
The constructor it will run
Okay, so you are saying that value would be the age value would be
30.
all right, good, nice. The age value would be 30, right? Cause of the sequence, right? Let me ask you one thing. If I make it 40 now, what will be the output now?
Same 30.
Yes, the answer will still be 30. Cool. Okay, now if I remove this, okay, let me tell you, let me tell you the difference between these two first, right? So the instance block will execute first, right? So instance block will set the value of age to 10, and after, so the value of age becomes 10 when the instance block is completed, and then after instance block our constructor will be executed, right? So the constructor will update the value from 10 to 30, right? So this is how thing goes. Now the thing is, I will revert to this example only. Now let's say that there is no constructor. All right, there is no constructor, and I am putting value 40 over here, right? So let me just remove this. Now what will be the value of age? Am I audible?
Yeah.
I'm guessing 10.
Okay,
10.
Yeah.
10. Everyone agrees.
Yeah.
All right. So if we run this, the value will be, the value is 40. Variables, variable assignment will happen, right? As soon as this variable is provided some value, then you thought that this value will be updated with value 40, right? And then this thing will happen, right? That's why the answer 40, right? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
10. If I remove this, then the value is 10. We can check, we can even see, think that okay, the default value, usually what the people used to think is if nothing is there, the default value is 0, it should be 0, right? And if the default value is the 0, and if I'm doing this age equals to 10, then the output will be 10 only, right? The output will be 10, right? That's how people think if you provide the different solutions, but that's not how the thing goes. As soon as the value is provided before the initializing part, the declaration part is being done, and then the constructor is being called. After that, the initialization of value will be provided, then the constructor will be called. Cool. So the output will be 40. Got the flow?
Yes.
All right. See, these are the nitty gritty. I mean, these are the internal nitty gritties, right? Cool. So, okay. Let me just revert the yes question. Cool. So the question would be of this. Okay, the constructor value I am passing 30, right? So the output will be 30. We are not. I'm not typing the question again for this. So just remember, right? We have the recording as well for this question. Okay. Next one would be multiple blocks. Can I add multiple blocks? Right. Just copy paste this thing. Okay. Instead of adding everything, let's just write the class A. Inside this sysout block 1, then sysout block 2, now sysout block 3, right? So if I try to execute this, what will be the output? If I just create an object of this a equals to new a, that's it. What will be the output?
Block 1, block 2, block 3.
Okay, so you are assuming that it will execute in sequence. If I do this, then
Yeah, in sequence. So 2 and 3.
okay, everyone trying to guess the same thing, right? Yes. When the constructors, I mean, this instance blocks are required, one thing is multiple instance blocks are allowed, right? Another thing is if multiple instance blocks are provided, so what will happen that the blocks will be executed in sequential manner. Cool. That's how thing will go. And okay, so another thing would be, can I call a constructor from a instance block? Okay, so this is the example that we were using earlier. So over here we know that inside the class, if I want to call a constructor of the same class, then I need to use this, right? I'm audible.
Yes.
So if I'll try to use this over here, and then there is a constructor, right, of age. Let's add one default constructor, right, without anything. Default okay, my bad. Constructor and none, right? So where is the default? Okay, this is the default constructor, right? So let's add a default constructor, or simple a dot int. Okay, amt constructor. Cool. So if I try to write this, and then there will be an error, right, written. But we have seen that this should be the first statement in constructor, right? So if I try to write over here, will it work? If I try to run the code, okay, my bad, runner, the answer would be call to this must be the first statement in the constructor, right? So what is the error saying? In the constructor, right? In the constructor, I can call a constructor from a constructor only. Can I do this thing from a method? If this is a method, right? Can I call this over here? This is the first line, right? Let's just comment it out, this one, and then try to run it again. We'll get the same error, right? This error on this line number 25, line number 25. This should be the first statement in a constructor. I cannot use this in anywhere else. Cool. So constructor calling is not allowed, right? This can be called from a, or the better approach would be constructor calling of self can be done from a constructor only. Cool. Now if I try to run this, there will be no error because I have removed this. So that means constructor calling is not allowed, right? Self constructor calling is not allowed. If I want to create some student equals to new, then I can create. There is no issue with that, right? If we have the student, wait, a student somewhere down, somewhere we have a student equals to new student, right? This thing, okay, some value need to pass, name, okay, so let's say Ram. Cool. Object creation is allowed. So this is also constructor, right? But this is constructor of some other class, not the self constructor, right? So the self constructor we can call using this. and using this for constructor calling of self class is not allowed outside the constructor. Cool. All right, so that will be the method. Can I call, okay, let's remove this, right? I mean, can I call the m1 method from here? The answer would be yes, right? I can call the method because I require this to process some data, right? So to process some data, I can delegate the responsibility to some method because I can call the method from the constructor as well. The same thing. Okay. So I'm just removing this one, right? Because I can call it. In constructor also we have covered the same thing. Cool. With the instance block, this is the instance block only. Now we will go to the static block. Okay. So for the static block, okay, let's just check the nodes. Inside the class, possible declare multiple. Okay, execution order will be in the top to bottom. Cool. Where instance block execution depends on the object creation, no constructor. All right. So in the below example, two constructor executed, but only one creating ends only one time. Okay. Say it's not dependent on object. It is dependent on object creation, not on the constructor calling. Over here in this example, we are calling two constructors. From this constructor, 0 constructor, we are calling 1 constructor. But the instance block will be executed only once because it will be executed during the object creation only before the constructor call. And when we declare the instance block and variable, the execution order is top to bottom. Okay, we have covered this. Okay. I used to initialize and during the object creation, but just before the constructor execution. Okay, it is possible to initialize the value in different ways, right? See, this is how we can initialize the instance variable. Constructor dynamically, instance block hard coded, setter by using setter getter, again it's in dynamic way. By method will be setter and getters only, right? And why we are saying this method? Because setter and getters usually take the value and set it directly. By different method we can process the data as well. So in these ways we can initialize the variables, right? So that's it. It was okay. Static block also in this. Okay, cool. So now we will go with the static block, right? So the static block, for the static block, the same thing we are going to create the package. So basics, the package interview, inside the basic again the A class. Now we have seen okay, what we have seen so far. We started with variable, right? Int age equals to 10 variable. Then we move to methods, public void m1, right? Sys out a m1, right? Then we move to constructor, right? Okay, not required. So sys out a constructor. Then we have seen the instance block, right? Instance block, and this, right? Sys out a instance block. Cool. Now the last thing is a static block, right? A static block is exactly same as the instance block, just with the name static, right? Okay. And there is one more question of the instance block. Okay, in interviews. Okay, package multiple object creation. So in this, I'm going to create a class A, right? And over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write multiple instance block. Okay, no, a single instance block, right? A instance block. Cool. A single instance block. It is shouting as well that I'm instance block. So this is it, and the default constructor will be created on its own. So I'm not going to enter in that, and then runner. And now what I'm going to do is a equals to new a. Cool. One object, right? And then a b equals to new b. What will be the output of this program? This is the class, and this is the runner. You need to,
A instance block twice.
yes, because it is anything associated with the instance block is associated to the object creation, right? Almost. Instead of methods is associated with the number of callings we do. All right, so twice. If I create a third one, C, then it will be 3, and if I create D, then it will be 4, right? If I now run it, then 4 times it will be there, right? So it depends on number of objects being created, right? All right, so let's go back to our static block. So now if I run this runner and psvm, over here if I do a equals to new a, right, and a dot not h and cool, what will be the output of this program? This is the code. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, you could have speculated because we are learning in sequence, right? I have written it in the sequence as well. See, and also if you are not even able to speculate that I've been teaching in a sequence, then also what you can intuit it yourself that the static context area is associated with the class and that is handled during the dot class loading file, right? So this thing will be executed even before the object creation, right?
Yes.
So if I run this now, what will be the sequence will be the static block because it will be taken care during the class load time, then instance block because it will be taken care before the calling of constructor, then the constructor, and then the method. Cool. Let's see what's the output. Static block, instance block, constructor, and method. Cool. And below that it would be variable. We have been learning in a sequence. All right. Okay, so the same thing will apply, the same concepts of the instance block will apply over here as well. Whatever we have learned calling, okay. Which one should I take? See, the calling, all right. One more thing, right? So the instance block, we used to initialize the instance variable, right? A static block, we used to initialize the static variable, right? So the main purpose of this will be to initialize the static variable. Okay, instance, not instance, static, basic over here, and then in basic, let's make it static, and over here age equals to 20. Cool. This age is static, right? So static context area can only access static context area, right? But instance block, can I initialize the static variable from an instance block? Can I initialize the static variable from a constructor? Can I initialize the instance variable from a constructor, we have already covered this thing. Okay, all right. We can, all right, you can go through the session that has been uploaded on the YouTube. We can initialize the instance variable, sorry, static variable as well from the constructor, because constructor is inside the instance area and we can access the static area from the instance area, right? So the same method of the instance and static context area that applies to the method applies to the constructor, and it again applies to the blocks as well. Cool. So yes, we can initialize the static variable from the instance block, but we don't do it, right? Because on every object creation, that value will be, the block will be executed and the value will be again set, right? So the question would be over here now, would be the instance, I mean the class elements and the static block and then interview question, and now the question will be same, right? Of the instance block, I can call the method, I cannot call the constructor. So the only thing left would be multiple objects creation, right? So that would be the only thing that would be different. So let's just take a static block and print a static block, and then a sysout a instance block. Cool. And that's it. Okay, let's add a constructor, right? Default constructor and a constructor. Cool. And then let's write a runner psvm, and now if I create an object a equals to new a, one thing. Now let's create only two objects. So what will be the output of this? I'm creating two objects and this is my class.
Static block, instance block, and a constructor twice. The sequence twice.
The sequence twice.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone agrees?
Static will be executed.
Yes, a static context area gets loaded during the dot class file loading time, right? And that when it happens, when the JVM starts, right? JVM will not going to start multiple times, right? So this will be executed only once. A static block, then a instance block, constructor, instance block, and again constructor, right? Because during the dot class file loading time, dot class file will load only one time, right? Entire static context area, everything in the static context area happens during the dot class file loading. Remember, right, Dikshita?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Now got it, yeah.
All right. So this was the